All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Vikings. Folks, this team has won 5 straight football games. You can cut it any way you want to me. I really don't care. Josh Dobbs gets traded to the Minnesota Vikings after Kirk Cousins' unfortunate injury, and in a couple of days, after not practicing, after not knowing probably majority of his players' teammates' names, takes down an above-average defense in the Atlanta Falcons on the road, might I add, and then he follows it up this past Sunday with a victory against another above-average defense in the New Orleans Saints 27-19. Now, it's funny because I made a Vikings video a couple of days ago, and a lot of non-Vikings fans were coming in here saying, like, oh, you know, they started off 20-4-3 and then almost lost the game. I'm going to put that on Kevin O'Connell, and I'm going to put that in a positive note because they won the football game. They won the football game. A dude you've had for like a week and a half. Yeah, I'm going to play it conservative if I'm up 24-3 at freaking halftime against one of the better defenses in the National Football League. What a lot of people seem to be missing right now when thinking about the Minnesota Vikings is this. Oh, Josh Dobbs isn't Jalen Hurts. Josh Dobbs isn't Patrick Mahomes. The Minnesota Vikings are still going to move on from Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison aren't going to do anything if they can't figure out their quarterback. Blah, 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 blah. It's the National Football League, folks. Context doesn't matter. Well, it matters to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, the Minnesota Vikings, after starting the season 0-3, after following a 13-win season, they've bounced back. All things considered, they've bounced back, and that's literally the freaking point of the Minnesota Vikings video that we are making right now. But guys, before we get into it, if you enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Vikings fans, I love you guys so much. I seriously love you guys so much. If we try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So it's funny because they just won 27-19. Josh Dobbs is 2-0 as the starter, or I guess not technically the starter because Jaren Hall started the game against the Falcons. Josh Dobbs, the backup quarterback, actually technically at the time when they acquired him, the third string quarterback behind Kirk Cousins and Jaren Hall. It's funny when I get non-Vikings fan naysayers in here saying anything negative. I just find it funny. I don't know where the passion went, just honestly in the world in general, but especially football. Like, underdog stories, I was just watching, if you can't tell, I was watching Dodgeball, a true underdog story a couple of weeks ago, and it just got me thinking about when I used to play sports. You know, I'm 24 here, obviously I'm not a collegiate or pro athlete, and it just got me thinking back to like when I played pro sports and how different it is when coaches believe in you versus when coaches don't really give a F. And I'm going to give an example here, which maybe doesn't make any sense, but basically, I remember the last year I played baseball, or one of the last years I played baseball, I was in like 8th grade, and we had a head coach, and he was kind of a little bit of a personal mess. So he ends up quitting the job, and somebody I know who was affiliated with somebody who I know comes in and steps in as the head coach. We end up making the conference championship in a 3-game series, and we lost. Now, at that point, I was pretty done with baseball because I was like 4'7" or 4'8" at the time, and those pitches were getting a little bit fast. And when they hit you, because we're 7th and 8th grade, because they hit you a lot, it started to just become a huge pain in the ass. But we ended up with a, not the best team ever. We ended up making the conference championship, and I have a huge reason being the guy, our interim head coach. It sounds funny to say that because we're talking about 8th grade baseball, but our interim head coach stepped in here, and he was just a guy's guy. He was a player's coach. And when I look at Kevin O'Connell, and I look at Josh Dobbs, and I look at the current culture of the Minnesota Vikings, before Kirk Cousins got injured, and especially now that Kirk got injured and Josh Dobbs has come in here and won a couple of football games, it just got me thinking back to like Miracles. Now, of course, I'm thinking about Miracle on Ice, one of the best sports movies ever, but you guys get what I'm saying. when people like to talk about the Vikings right now, they're like, yeah, Josh Dobbs, he put up 27 against a really good defense in the New Orleans Saints, 268 passing yards. He threw for a touchdown. He ran for 44 yards and a touchdown. He had 0 turnovers. It's just funny when I look at, and guys, like, by the way, I'm a Packers fan. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. Now, seriously, the city of Minneapolis is one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to, ever. I've been there like maybe 4 or 5 times, and every single time I love it so much. But it's just funny to me how like non-Vikings fans love to sit here, in the sports in the sports news media world, big time guys like ESPN, FS1, whatever it is. And everybody likes to just nitpick this right now, saying like, oh, Josh Dobbs is just a Band-Aid, whatever. And I feel like they're missing the whole point of sports. When people believe in you, when coaches believe in you, when your teammates believe in you, there's a certain confidence that gets installed into you that goes a very long way. And I think when we're looking at the NFL, people like to look at guys like Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. And while those are very clearly great football athletes and just like phenomenal football phenomenal QBs in general, everybody likes to just pinpoint the quarterback, obviously, as the quarterback is always the leader of the team. And people like to just say, oh, well, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Jalen Hurts. And I feel like people tend to forget about miracles. And Vikings fans certainly don't forget about miracles. And we could pinpoint about, I don't know, not great at math here. I'm going to think the Minneapolis Miracle was about 5 years ago. The point still stands. Kirk Cousins or no Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs or no Josh Dobbs, Jaren Hall or no Jaren Hall. It literally doesn't matter because the overall future of the Minnesota Vikings, especially with Kevin O'Connell at the helm, I absolutely love it. And when I look at this team, especially their receiving core, and we're going to count TJ Hawkinson as a receiver because you guys get the point here. I look at Josh Addison. I look at Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Justin Jefferson as definitely, it's not a maybe. I look at those 3 players as definitely the best weapons in the National Football League. And whether the quarterback is Kirk Cousins, Jaren Hall, Josh Dobbs, it literally doesn't matter to me. And I really know that Vikings fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Sports are just momentum. Games are all about momentum. And if I were to sit back here, let's say they didn't acquire Dobbs and Jaren Hall gets injured, and who was like the 3rd string quarterback of Jaren Hall if they didn't sign or if they didn't trade for Josh Dobbs? I think it was Cam Akers. Let's just say in a hypothetical world, the Vikings go 3-14. Well, you got to blow it up because it's not working. And so I know this whole last 2 minutes doesn't make much sense, but you guys get what I'm saying. And Vikings fans get what I'm saying. Just trust it. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it because what Josh Dobbs is doing right now is crazy. It's just genuinely crazy. And I love to see it. And I cannot wait for the rest of the season. Guys, that's it for the Vikings rant of the night. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, and we will see you next time.